Boom! Says I'm live. Hey, folks, I'm coming to you a little bit later today, and maybe we'll see some more people jump on the live and share their comments or their questions, or just kind of come in and have that chat. It's been really, really interesting to me this last couple of weeks as I've begun to pick up some consistency with coming live. How some of you seem to really like these evening sessions more than the daytime sessions. I don't know what that speaks to us coming through, especially on the LinkedIn platform, because that means a lot of us are probably working more than we should. Today, and I'm looking at, I kind of keep a list here of the main topics that I talk about, because I just want to make sure that I've got some kind of a theme going. And today I put it down as lives and bringing value, but what I put as the title was Dichotomy. And you know what? The music sounds a little loud. I'm going to go ahead and turn that down for you a little bit. Dichotomy, besides being a well-known Christian rap band, is, for me, it always meant opposites. For me, it always meant contradiction. It always meant things that don't fit together. That's not necessarily what dichotomy is. If we look up the meaning of it in Google search, it'll say a division or contrast between two things that are represented as being opposed or entirely different. And like the difference between science and mysticism were the two things that it gave. Now, while some people will say they think about dichotomy as being, completely conflicted or opposing or, enemies of each other, I'm not entirely sure that's how I see that. I see it as almost like a working relationship of opposites working together. And I've seen it that way more and more over time. Let me kind of bring to you kind of what I'm thinking. I'm in a unique situation. I have my own WordPress agency. I build membership and learning sites for people, for their organizations, for businesses, for, different groups, things like that. And I end up giving out quotes. So that quote would be something like the client would say, we have all of our logos and assets and content, and we just need you to build the platform. And I go, okay, it'll cost this much. And they say, okay, and they pay, and then we get started. And invariably, they don't have the graphics the right size. They don't have their content isn't well written. They're just not as prepared as they were during the negotiation process. Now, I think about how this works in other businesses, and take it for what this is worth. I'm that kind of guy in my business and in my frame set, and my wife will tell you, I will go above and beyond. I will say, hey, that's all right. You made a good effort here with this content. I'll rewrite this and tweak this for you so it fits in the space. Hey, you thought you had images, but what you have are these giant unrecognizable files that need to be edited or transformed, or transform's a good word. People give me all kinds of weird stuff and they think it's web material, but it's not web material. And it seems like no matter how specific I am during the setup and the sale process, there's always something that comes up after the agreement that far and away exceeds what was sold. One of my most recent experiences with this is, and this is where I subcontract for somebody else. They said, hey, what's your level of WordPress knowledge? Because we can offer you training as well. And they said, oh no, we're intermediate WordPress users. We're fully familiar with the platform. We don't have any need for that. We might just need someone to kind of show us around any customizations or things like that. But as far as working in WordPress goes, we know what we're doing. Well, this client didn't even know how to change like the heading or a font or the color in a background, or, I mean, what we would consider basics in the WordPress environment. And so what I'm left with is, okay, do I let this person flail and fail, or do I love on them like I wish somebody would love on me? That sounds crazy in the business sense, but do I extend people grace, or do I put screws to them? Well, I'm going to tell you, and maybe it's a weakness of mine, I generally err in favor of the client. Now, to get over this, what I've started to do is I've begun giving my estimates at a higher dollar amount. Because what I'm doing is I'm factoring in those extra hours it's going to take to make up for what they lied about in the beginning. And I say it like that, and it sounds mean, but remember, I'm the one that's given up free time, right? So if I say it and it sounds mean, just remember what comes out of my mouth isn't reflecting the actual activity. That's the dichotomy of the situation. I knew I'd throw that word in there for you. So when I think about the grace, or I think about the leverage that I extend to others to help them get what they want, or help them get what they need through my services, I got to tell you, sometimes I feel pretty good about it. Sometimes it goes unchecked. Sometimes they don't even recognize what's happened. And other times they do. I've had some people go, whoa, I didn't understand that you were doing so much more than what I paid you for. That came up with a lovely woman out of New Mexico. She was like, oh my God, do I owe you more money? And I said, look, I make good on it. If I told you I'm going to get a job done by a certain day in a certain amount of time for a certain budget, I'm going to make that happen. I'll make it happen. But I'm going to learn my lessons along the way and try and prevent that from happening downstream. I hope I'm communicating this well. I'm 7 minutes in, and I don't know that I've even gotten where I need to go. So let me tell you how it's been reciprocated. And again, this is part of the dichotomy of life. This is how things ebb and flow and seem to contradict each other. I got a truck right now. I thought it was overheating last year. Turns out it wasn't overheating. It's a diesel, and it had back pressure problems in the cooling system because a piece in the cylinder head was allowing back pressure to come through the cooling system and blow the coolant out. So it looked like it was overheating, but it wasn't really overheating. And they said, well, you probably need a head gasket. Probably. Well, that's, $6,500. And they said, if you don't need a head, it'll be like $6,500. If you do need a head, and then that job might run closer to like $8,200, $8,400, something like that. And I was like, wow, all right, let's see what we can do. So a couple of months later, I thought I better check on my truck. So I went in to see him, and they said, oh, thank God you're here. We were going to call you. We're almost done with it. You'll have it back next week. And it didn't need a cylinder head. The head was in really good shape. In fact, the truck never overheated. So that's when they were telling me, this is the part that went bad on the truck. This is why it was blowing the coolant out. It never really overheated. You only got 50,000 miles on this truck. The block is good. The heads were good. We're just putting a new head gasket on. And as we got this finished up, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. We're going to test drive it, and you should have it back next week. And I was like, man, that sounds awesome. And I was excited because that's going to put me in that $6,500 range, right? Well, a couple of months went by. You already know what I'm going to say. I get a call, and they say, hey, we're finishing up the truck. We're going to give it another test drive, this, that, and the other thing. And the bill's only $9,600. What happened? Keep in mind, I worked in the automotive industry for over 20 years. On the service side, I know the rules, I know the laws, I know all the crap, I know how I should behave as a customer, but I can't allow myself to do it. That's the dichotomy of the situation. So he says, well, we had to replace the timing cover. Well, the timing cover is not part of doing a head gasket. It's removed and it's reinstalled, but it's not replaced. And the truck never leaked before, so what was happening? Oh, it was leaking oil after we fixed it. So it was leaking oil after you reassembled it and broke it. You probably over-torqued it and cracked it. No, we just, well, we're not going to charge you labor for that, but we got to charge you for the part. It's like $700. Even if it was $700, how did we go from 6,500 to 9,600? How did a $600 part add $3,000 to the bill? You see where I'm going with this? It just explodes. And I'm in this weird spot where I think to myself, how come every time I have something to sell, it's made out of lead or copper or brass? And every time I'm in the market to buy something, remarkably, that is made out of gold or platinum. It just seems like that's the way it is. You know, if I'm looking for a slightly used mountain bike, apparently the market's pretty tight, and I might have to pay $7,000 for a used mountain bike. But if I go to sell that used mountain bike a year later, it's worth $1,500. You see, that's kind of that weirdness that you start to feel. And this is where I want people to kind of pick themselves up and feel more positive. Okay. Is all that happening? Yeah, all that's happening. All right. Am I getting stuck with bills and finances that don't make sense? Absolutely. I'm getting stuck with bills and finances that don't make sense. But here's something else. Today I got to go live for Lifter LMS and host their first, what we're calling it an agency action group. Agency action group. Name is subject to change. Who knows what's going to happen there? But agency action group. So we invite people to come in with their WordPress agencies and talk to them about the foundations of success, or how to increase their business, how to work with other businesses and help them with e-learning and membership platforms and all that fun stuff. Folks, I got to lead that. That's like my project. I get to do that. I get to add value to those people at a high level through that organization. It's fantastic. Okay. Later in the day, I got invited to talk to people in Australia about how to build their own learning management system and how to deal with the membership kind of potholes and speed bumps that they've gone through because they had too many people in charge of their website. They had too many pathways for access, and they wanted to find a way to reduce their access pathways without ticking off their user base and have a smoother, more streamlined business that they could track. And so I worked with them on that a little bit. After that, I got to attend a live session with a group called Working Writers. Working Writers helps people publish their first book. That's their thing. And they said, Kurt, you know about AI, artificial intelligence? Would you be willing to come and talk to our group about artificial intelligence and this, that, and the other? And of course, you know, they put me up in front of their group and talk about the books I've written and the websites I make and the agency I run. Why wouldn't I do that, right? So I get that exposure. So on one hand, here I am complaining about getting screwed, not being treated well, this, that, and the other thing. On the other hand, getting the opportunity to add value to people from a leadership perspective on 3 different channels in 2 different countries. Folks, that's a blessing. It's a blessing. Now, as a man of faith, I'll tell you, am I upset that I got to come up with like another $2,000 to pick up this van? Yeah, I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all about that. Really not happy about that. It's putting a lot of stress on me, that stupid van, that stupid problem. But here's the deal. As a man of faith, I know that God's taking care of it. I don't know what you believe. If you watch this live, you watch this on the replay, you've got a comment, throw a comment in. I'll be more than happy to address any comments that you might have. If I didn't have faith that I was being taken care of, I would be a little more nervous, right? I would be a little more, hey, what's going on here? How come this doesn't make sense? Why am I getting screwed? Oh my God, the world's out to get me. No. The world does what the world does. And God somehow comes along and says to me at the end of the month, hey, good and faithful servant, you need this much to get by. And that much will show up. It always does. It always does. So that part's good. Here's the dichotomy of things. On one hand, I want to be independent. I want to be my own businessman. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to run my environment. I want to be in charge. I want to lead others. So you see all that, right? It's the I want. And the reality of it is I get to. And even though there's some speed bumps along the way, it's always going to work out. So my message to you today is think about the dichotomy in your own life. Think about the things that you see maybe as contradictions. Think about how you react to those. Are you angry? Do you lose your temper? Are you depressed? Do you sleep too much? I mean, just whatever. Do you drink too much? And then just have a real conversation with yourself and be like, where does that come from? And in the dichotomy of life, how am I doing? If you're still kicking around, eating, breathing, walking, you're ahead of the game. You're doing good. You have survived every bad moment in your life so far. If you're watching this live or you're watching this in a replay, if you're seeing this now and you hear my voice, you know that you have survived every bad thing that's ever happened to you. And the dichotomy of life says that there has to be some really great things that have happened along the way too. And if we can focus on the really great things, especially the things where we get to add value to others, influence others, take action, and be leaders, a lot of the other stuff doesn't matter. It's just a distraction. So in a LinkedIn mindset, I would say, let's avoid the distractions and let's keep plunging forward and find success. In the Facebook world, I would say, don't let the world hold you down. Look at the positives, pick yourself up and keep going. Right? It's important to me that this exercise of going live every day for the month of June, it's important to me that this comes away with some kind of positive vibe, positive energy, positive something, where even if I moan and groan for 10, 15 minutes of this call about being mistreated, about getting this truck worked on, I don't want it to sound like that's the focal point. It is a negative. It's a negative event in a sea of positive events for the day. Like I said, I could help the folks in Australia. I can run the live for Lifter. I could talk to you guys. That's fantastic. And I get to do the talk on AI for a group of writers. That's a great day. That's a great day. And like I said, yeah, I'm upset about coming up with an extra couple $1,000s. Somehow, some way, God's going to drop that couple $1,000s into my bank account. He always does. We're going to get a new client. We'll have a new dealer sign up through the Power Sport Academy. Something will happen. And a wealth of finance will go from this folder to this folder. And the older I get, I've come to realize that's what money is. It's just this fictitious thing that gets transferred from one folder to another folder. And depending on what folder it's in, dictates how you get to use it. Folks, I hope you find some value in how I come to you guys every day like this. Again, if you watch live or replays, throw in comments, like, share, all that fun stuff. If you've got questions or if you want to reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn, do that. I'm the only Kurt Von Unen on LinkedIn. So make the connection. We'll get together. We'll have a quick call, figure out what each other's all about. Maybe we can help each other with something. All right. I'll talk to you later. I'm going to end it with the thanks for watching screen. Have yourself a wonderful day.